my name is Natalie, and this is my son.
Hello, I'm Dylan, and I'm 10 years old.
And we're here to talk about Langerhans cells histohistiosis, which is LCH. And it's a rare type of cancer. Usually, what it is, it's like immune system cells mutating and turning to bad ones, and they accumulate in different areas. Like they can be accumulating in your tissues, organs, bone, anywhere in the body. Where do you have it?
And my bone.
He have it on his bones. The reason we decided to do this and talk about his journey and his experience with this and how, all his process and still show all his journey is to help other families that are going through the same thing or that are not sure yet if their kid or them are going to be diagnosed with LCH, just because we want to inform, right? And that doesn't mean that you're going to go through the same thing, but I mean, hopefully this would help others, and that's what we want to do, right? And how everything started, we noticed a bump on his right side of his head, and it was just like a little bump in there, swollen, and it won't hurt unless you would bother it, like touch it or anything like that, right? And he would mention that it would hurt like a bruise or like needles poking his head in that area. And it would also bother him when you would eat, right? That's what you said? Every time he wanted to bite something hard, it would hurt, he mentioned. And we decided to take him to the doctor. We ended up taking him to Mexico because we had a private insurance, and we thought it was better to do that because we thought it was just, his muscle that was hurting, and that's it. So we took him back there. They did an x-ray, and on the x-ray, the doctor did mention that he saw something abnormal in his bone. So the next day, we came back to Tucson, and we decided to take him to the clinic. On the clinic, they sent him to do an ultrasound in the hospital at TMC, and they did it like 2 days later. So they were moving fast. And when they were doing the ultrasound, they decided to send me to the emergency room that day at the same, like right in there, just to do an emergency MRI. So they end up doing the emergency MRI, and that's when they told me that they thought it was either LCH or like just a mass on his head. They weren't sure. So they end up sending me to a neurologist at Banner Hospital, a different hospital because they have more experience. And we started seeing an oncology and hematology department or clinic. And the oncology and hematology department just, started talking to us about what, just based on the picture of the MRI, they thought it was LCH, but they weren't sure. So they just wanted to see him and, let us know that they wanted to do more, more tests on him just to make sure what he had, to know what he has. And we also went to the neurologist. The neurologist thought it was better to just do a surgery, take that affected bone out and with the tumor, and then he will be done with it. So while they were deciding what to do, they sent him the oncologist sent him to do an X-ray on his whole body just to make sure he don't have it anywhere else, because they tend to grow in more than one area of the body. So they just wanted to make sure that he didn't have it anywhere else. And they sent us to do an X-ray, and then they wanted us to also do a PET-CT scan at the same time later. So we end up doing the X-ray. The X-ray showed nothing on his bones. It looked good. And I'm saying this because I'm going to tell you why. So it showed everything was fine. We were happy about that. It was only his head. The neurologist decided to do the surgery, and the surgery ended up happening in July 20th. And then he had his PET-CT scan scheduled on July 19th, which was a day before the surgery. On the PET-CT scan, they do request for you to stop eating 6 hours before that PET-CT scan, and then a day before that, PET CT scan, they want you to not eat sugary stuff
Mhm.
for the whole day, and also carbohydrates. No carbohydrates and no sugar for a whole day. So he did really good with that, and they did. And then he didn't eat for those 6 hours. He had. What do they do when they do the PET CT scan? What do they? How does everything start?
Firstly they poke you, and then in the middle case they bring something radioactive, and then they place it in inject it into the veins.
Yes, they do that. And how do you feel when they did that?
Well, it makes you mostly energized, but
It makes you energized, he says, and it's because it's like a glucose. They inject you glucose, radioactive glucose, like sugary stuff, because I guess those bad cells like sugary stuff. So they did that. They kept us in the room for like an hour, and then after that, they went. We went to the scan, and usually the scan took like 20 minutes. I think it doesn't take that long, and then we were ready to go. And then he had to be 6 feet apart from pregnant women and little kids. So we did that, and then the next day he had his surgery. I'm really grateful with the doctors and the team they had because they were really, really nice, and they did such a good job. I'm really grateful. God bless them. And they end up removing the whole affected area with the tumor, and they replaced the bone with titanium mesh, and that's how it looks. And it's been like 2 weeks, a little bit over 2 weeks. That's right. It looks really good. We're really happy, huh? He recovered really well from that. And then a week after his surgery, we had an appointment with the oncologist for the results of his PET CT scan. We were really happy because we thought we were done with everything because they were able to remove everything from his head. And since nothing came up on the X-ray they did on his whole body, we thought he was fine because if you look at him, he looks perfect. He looks fine, and he's healthy. So we went to the oncologist for the results, and they did mention to us that day that he does have it in multiple areas, and he have it on his spine and also in one of his ribs. And this is the reason I'm mentioning this is because on the X-ray, they couldn't see it at all. It didn't even show. But on the PET CT scan, it did show the spine, part of the spine affected, and also one of his ribs. And I'm glad we did the PET CT scan, even though we had a hard time getting it approved through the insurance. And that's when they mentioned to us that he might need treatment, but they wanted to wait for the results of the biopsy from the bone they took away a week ago from that day of the surgery. So we had to wait for that. So they gave us 4 more days to wait, and then we went back to the oncologist for the results of the biopsy. That day, they did mention to us that it was LCH, and that we were going to started talking about the treatment he had to take. So they decided that the best thing was chemotherapy and steroids. Now, that was on the 27th when we find out that on the 27th of July when we find out that he had when they told us it was LCH for sure, and they started talking to us about the treatment we're gonna start. And then on the 3rd of August, which is 3 days ago, they he had a surgery, and they implanted the chemo port on his chest, and this is how it looks. It took a little hard time for them to find a good vein. If you can, I don't know if I can show it really well. And how do you feel with the How
Well,
was your experience?
so firstly, when you come back home from it, it hurts a lot. It's really achy, and mostly I took a lot of rest, and then after one day, the next time where you got the chemo port placed, that thing starts hurting, even though it didn't hurt yesterday.
Okay. So how do you feel today?
I'm feeling good.
You feeling good? So he's gonna start his chemotherapy and steroids in Monday, right? And
Mhm.
today is Friday, so it's pretty soon. They placed the chemo port on Tuesday,
Mhm.
so we're it's gonna be like almost a week after they place the chemo port, and we're gonna show you all his journey through his process, and hopefully this would help, like I said, other families and other people, right? That's what you
Mhm.
want to do.
Mhm.
And we're also gonna let you guys know how how we feel and what make us feel better and positive. For me, for us, it's God, right?
Mhm.
We're really close to God, and we have a lot of faith. We don't lose our faith, and we have a really good communication. We don't hide anything from Him. He knows everything,
Mhm.
and yeah, we're positive. That helps a lot. It takes time, but we have a lot of faith. And what advice do you want to give other kids and
To
families?
always be positive, be brave. It's normal to be scared or nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I've been through that a lot.
Yes, but what helps you?
Um, um, praying to God.
Praying with God, talking to God, right?
Always accepting family help,
Mm-hmm.
and be always be positive, be brave and strong.
Yes.
That helped me through all of this.
Okay. That's what it is. So thank you so much for listening to us, and we'll try to make better videos. This is our first time. We're barely learning,
Yeah.
and I appreciate for you to taking your time to watch our video, and God bless you and thank you so much. We're gonna keep you posted. Thank you.
Bye.